Today I've decided to do my Wolverine look for the South Carolina primary. Yep, it looks a little crazy, but I'm here. So, now that Nevada didn't matter, and it truly didn't, and you may be saying, of course it mattered. We know that the frontrunner is Bernie Sanders. You didn't know that after New Hampshire? But he got on 60 Minutes, and yeah, that was pre-planned. But the Democrats are all getting behind. No, they're not getting behind anybody. It changed nothing. Nevada. But now we're into South Carolina, the state that actually matters. It's the last state that matters behind Super Tuesday. And this is a quick overview on the state, who I think is going to get the delegate lead, and a little walk into Super Tuesday. So South Carolina has 54 delegates. Unlike the 3 previous contests, it is an open primary. What that means is that if I live there as a registered Republican, I can go ahead and vote in the Democratic primary. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to change registration. I don't have to do nothing. Now, in New Hampshire and to a lesser extent Iowa, technically you could be nonpartisan or you'd have to switch. And Nevada was completely closed. South Carolina is not the case. So those never-Trumpers out there, who I know are dying to vote for Bernie Sanders, get out there and actually make their decision. It's also, while you may be wondering why he's back, is it to add diversity so that we can have a 70-year-old billionaire in the debate as opposed to a 70-year-old multimillionaire in Bernie Sanders or a 70-year-old multi-billionaire in Bloomberg? Why is Tom Steyer there? Well, he will be at the debate on Tuesday, and that is because he is actually running for the presidency of South Carolina. He is in most polls second or a close third. Nothing changed after Nevada. Don't expect his support to change much in South Carolina. This is his do or die. For those of you who are living in a state not South Carolina, you may not have seen an ad for him in a long time, but you have seen a chunk of them in South Carolina, and they will continue until Saturday. With that being said, if Steyer wins the South Carolina primary, that is probably the death for Biden. He probably won't get out until Tuesday, but it'll basically be the demise of him. And Bernie Sanders will definitely be the delegate leader going into the convention. If Biden wins, there will be strong calls for, at the very least, Buttigieg to get out, and to a lesser extent, Klobuchar. Now, there's been some rumblings out there about should Warren get out. Warren's not leaving at all. You know this because she's only in the race to help out Bernie Sanders at this point. She knows she can't win. She probably won't get more than a handful of delegates going forward. Klobuchar, though, can make the argument that she's going to win a state next week. So now we get into Super Tuesday. There are 14 states, territories, and other that are picking. The 14 states are Alabama, Arkansas, California, the big prize, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas, another big prize, even though Democrats don't think so, Utah, and Vermont, and Virginia. Also, American Samoa, which, yep, they vote for delegates, even though they're not technically citizens. If you're from American Samoa, it's actually the only territory where you're not given birthright citizenship. And something called Democrats Abroad. I don't know what that is. We don't have that in Republicans. I guess these are foreigners or non-Americans who they're Americans who are overseas but somehow can't vote in a primary in their home state. And they get super delegates, which is really confusing because I thought super delegates were like for, governors and, presidents and, reps and senators. I don't quite understand the Democratic math, but whatever. They have 17 delegates, 13 of which will be decided on Super Tuesday. Now, because of Super Tuesday, there's not a lot of polling available on a lot of those states. What we do know is that right now Bernie Sanders probably will be leading the California delegation. And again, they break stuff down by congressional districts. It's mostly going to be him and Biden. In the South, South Carolina is very important because there are many southern states that are going to be in this. There's Arkansas, there's North Carolina. Now, Bloomberg, who of course is not on the ballot in South Carolina, has in a lot of polls been polling around 6 to 8% in South Carolina. Many polls have him in the lead or nearing the lead in North Carolina. And that's going to weigh a lot. There's also Tennessee. I don't have any polling data in Tennessee. Texas looks like it's going to be a two-person race between Sanders and Biden for delegates, though there is a chance that Warren will get probably areas around Austin. But things that Amy Klobuchar could win. Well, Minnesota is one of those states. That is her home state. I would imagine that she will win her home state. I would also put a little bit of flavor in Colorado. And depending on how that works, she might actually pick up a delegate or two from Vermont. Vermont shares, of course, while Bernie Sanders is figured to get most of those delegates, she may actually come and get a few delegates there too. So are we headed to a Sanders romp? No, because Democrats love proportional representation, something that I hate, and I've done videos about why I hate proportional representation, why they don't work. This is a real video. There's a lot of videos. I hate proportional representation. Democrats are probably going to love proportional representation this year. But this is basically now a three-person race. It's a three-person race between Bernie Sanders, not Bernie Sanders, and please God, don't be Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, I think, is going to have the most delegates going into the convention in Milwaukee. I think Biden and Bloomberg will be going for second at this point. Which 70-year-old white guy do you want to pick for president, Democrats? Let us know in the comments below. But if you are the Bloomberg strategy and you want to get to the convention with it being contested, you need a third horse. I know you wanted everyone to clear the race out just for you, and that of course didn't work because, and before anyone says, well, the debate changed things about how we perceive Bloomberg. No, we hadn't done a debate in a long time. He's a Republican going into a Democratic primary. He wasn't exactly going to be lighting the fire up on a Democratic debate, and he'll probably do better the second time around this Tuesday on your local TV channel. You need a third horse. That third horse may be Biden, but really I would say you need Amy Klobuchar. You need somebody who's going to win regionally. And that region is the upper Midwest. If you get after Super Tuesday, you're looking at Michigan. You're looking at Missouri, North Dakota, even though I do think North Dakota is a caucus state, which is kind of annoying out there. But it may be a firehouse caucus this year, which is basically, it says it's a caucus, but they're ran by the party, but it's basically a primary. You've got Ohio the week after that. Of course, you've got Florida. Florida's going to be a bloodbath between Biden and Bloomberg. You got Illinois on that 17th. You've got stuff for her to stick around. That is who you need as your third wheel to force the convention. You don't want her to win anything, but you want her to stay in a reasonably consistent second or third above that 15% threshold to force the voters' hands into the convention. If it is simply between you and Biden, you will split up that vote. If there is no third rail, if you're a disaffected middle-aged voter, which 70-year-old white guy do you want to win? You might just say, screw it, I'm going to vote for Sanders, and then I'm going to vote for Trump. Or you may just say, I don't care, I'm not even going to bother to vote. So if you're Bloomberg, you need to pull that wing, and if I was him, I'd be pulling for Amy Klobuchar to be that wing. I would lay no hands on her, even if she comes out and attacks on Tuesday at the debate. I would gear all of my guns to kind of helping her while going after Sanders. So like and subscribe, hate and comment. And we'll see if I'm right. But again, my prediction, Biden comes in first, Steyer is in second, Sanders is in third in South Carolina.